You have entered the Chronics Rabbit Hole, and Roger, thank you so much for your reaction request. You're bringing down a video that is definitely going to be heavy on the heart, and the video's title is called "The Fallen of World War II." This is an animated, data-driven documentary about the war and peace. The Fallen of World War II looks at the human cost of World War II and sizes up the numbers to other wars in history, including trends in recent conflicts as well.
Wow.
Which is really intriguing. It's a very serious and award-winning video, and it displays all the casualties in World War II. And we're ready for it to get full into perspective with the educations that it can be giving us, and realizing the facts from the data is very important for us too. I have recently just reacted to Come and See,
Yes.
and then getting to see some of the comments from people from there, but just the numbers and the sheer amount of casualties that, like, even the Russians went through, that so a lot of people from Canada maybe don't know the full numbers for a place even just like that. So knowing this video is gonna be about all of the numbers, because there's so many places that were affected by this war that a lot of people wouldn't even consider. A lot of people didn't even know, like, Canada was in these world wars and all that.
That's
what roles
true.
they had too, so, and how many people we lost, Flanders Field and all that stuff as well. So I'm very excited, only because I want to give remembrance to these people as well, and
Absolutely.
I do find it intriguing to hear about this stuff too. So hopefully you guys are excited as well.
Thank you so much, Roger, for your request. I can't wait to get into this one because I know that this is one that it sits heavy with you, and is one that you also want to have us look at, because it really does put things into perspective. Like you said, it's very educational, and I think that this is something that it's almost been has it been 100 years yet since World War II?
Not quite, but we're getting
But we're
close.
getting close to that, and I think it's good to be able to reflect on things that have happened in the past so that we don't repeat it.
If this is award winning, I wonder what award it won specifically, and if this is like actually just a YouTube documentary itself, or if it got put on YouTube. Let us know all that stuff, and who made it and all that.
The average lifespan of an American is 80 years.
Right.
And an 80-year-old today was 10 when World War II ended.
Oh, geez.
4 when it began.
Holy crap.
A soldier who saw battle would have to be in his late 80s at least today. Generals, political leaders, the decision makers of the war, few are still with us. And over the past few decades, we've seen authors and filmmakers rush to capture stories from survivors before this connection of memory is lost.
Yeah. Yeah, what a critical 6 years.
This project is not about individual war stories, and it's not about survivors. We're going to tally up the tens of millions of people whose lives are cut short by the war,
So sad.
and see how these numbers stack up to other wars in history, including trends in recent conflicts.
Probably obliterates everything.
We'll be counting soldiers and civilians separately.
Good. Oh, wow, good.
Each of these figures represents 1,000 people who died.
Okay, okay.
Civilians were of all walks of life, whereas military deaths were almost entirely men. The average age was about 23.
Jeez. Oh, jeez.
In most battles, for every 1,000 soldiers killed, there are more than 1,000 who were injured.
Okay, that's devastating for me to hear, because I'm already 34 and I feel so young.
Yeah.
And to think 11 years younger than me, because this is all mainly men dying who are at war, let alone the civilians who are a good mix, who are probably a lot of women and kids, obviously.
Yeah.
But, like, just to think how young you really are as the main primary source of the meat grind of war.
Yeah, what was it?
23.
23.
Yeah.
Wow.
The word casualty can be confusing because in military speak, it often includes both deaths and injuries, and anything else that takes a soldier out of service. Here, we're just counting the deaths.
Okay.
And we'll begin with American soldiers.
Every figure represents 1,000.
Over 400,000 died. Most of the deaths occurred in the European theater, fighting the Nazis. And about a quarter were in the Pacific, fighting the Japanese. When you put them on the timeline, you see that casualties were the heaviest at the end of the war. The war began on September 1st, 1939. But the US wasn't willing to join the fight until Pearl Harbor, 2 years in. The deaths increased drastically on D-Day, when the Allies invaded Normandy.
Bigger gap than I thought.
One of the most tragic moments of the war was on D-Day at Omaha Beach, where 2,500 Americans fell. So about the same number of US soldiers died on this single beach landing as the entire 13 years of the recent war in Afghanistan.
Wow.
The bloodiest battle in the
crazy,
Pacific was Okinawa, which lasted 82 days, during which 12,500 Americans died. About 5,000 of these deaths were at sea from kamikaze attacks. Now let's look at some other countries, starting with Europe.
Loving these graphs, eh?
Yeah.
Germany started World War II when it invaded Poland.
Yeah.
Poland ultimately lost 200,000 soldiers in the war. Most died after the invasion while the country was occupied by Germany and the Soviet Union.
Wow, eh? Jesus. The resistance.
Germany, meanwhile, lost just 16,000 in the invasion of Poland. The Nazis went on to invade and conquer other countries, including Denmark, Belgium, the Netherlands, France, Greece, and Yugoslavia.
Oh my God.
France surrendered,
Yugoslavia.
but after losing 92,000 soldiers in the Battle of France. Over 200,000 ultimately fell, which includes deaths in POW camps, French colonies, and other fighting. Yugoslavia suffered almost 500,000 military deaths.
Yeah.
The initial invasion brought relatively few casualties on both sides. But the deaths mounted under Nazi occupation due to guerrilla fighting, civil conflict, and mass executions.
Oh my God, it's so bad. Do not watch Come and See.
The Nazi invasions were swift, with relatively few German losses.
Jeez. See, like, that is literally an epitome of what you are seeing right there. Think of what America just went through. Look what Yugoslavia went through.
Holy shit.
You don't even know pain and torment.
We don't
and
even hear about Yugoslavia in history.
Not enough, and a lot of people do, just not in Canada.
Not in Canada.
So like, it's actually crazy because Yugoslavia, I thought, was what the place was at the time or something. Like, I'm so, like, I need to actually look this up because I'm so invested in this that I just need to know right now Yugoslavia's country origin for a second. So Yugoslavia was a country in Central Europe and the Balkans that existed from the 18 to 92 under the names. So it's a pretty new place too. So no wonder it got attacked so much.
Yeah,
So it was trying to get independence then, right?
absolutely.
Crazy.
Even the Nazi commanders expressed surprise at their success. And then we have the United Kingdom and the United States, who were not invaded but took the fight to the Nazis. Britain lost about the same number of soldiers as the US, which includes the British colonies. Germany lost about 500,000 soldiers fighting the US and Britain in what is known as the Western Front, which took place in France and Belgium.
Germany, jeez. What a battle.
But most Nazi soldiers died in the Eastern Front,
Yes.
Germany's unsuccessful invasion of the Soviet Union. The numbers are staggering.
Like, that's what I mean. Is
The most famous battle of the Eastern Front, and perhaps the turning point of the European war, was Stalingrad. The German 6th Army successfully took Stalingrad, but then got surrounded by the Soviets and cut off from food and ammunition. 500,000 Nazis would ultimately die in Stalingrad. Another 100,000 were taken prisoner, of which 6,000 would ever return. POWs had a low survival rate throughout World War II, and it was particularly grim in the East. When you include these POWs, roughly the same number of Germans died in Stalingrad as all the Western Front fighting against France, the UK, and the US.
Y'all, this graph's so devastating. They don't want to show you it.
Yeah.
That's how high it goes.
We haven't even seen the top of it yet.
That's what I mean. Like, it's so crazy. If you guys read the books, and I know y'all are who are here, like that is the meat of what went on in the war. And if you really want to know, just that's why it's admirable how civil we are now, in ways.
Mm-hmm.
If you see what real generations have went through,
man,
you know what I'm saying?
Like it's giving me shivers. Like
Yeah.
When I get like uncomfortable about something, and this information is uncomfortable, I'm gonna be honest, right?
Yeah, because it's real figures.
Because
These are
it's
heads
real
of
figures.
thousands.
But like it gives me the shivers. It makes me cold, and that's how I'm feeling right now, because it's like when you see that graph climb, and you know that every single stick figure is 1,000 people, like, oh my God.
Yeah, you can hear the cries.
You can hear the cries.
Yeah, it's devastating.
And though Stalingrad was a victory for the Soviets,
Oh, they're gone.
they suffered almost twice as many losses as Germany.
I feel like they never showed. Oh.
The Soviet Union would eventually defeat the once unstoppable German army, killing 2.3 million Nazi soldiers.
To beat them, they had to have that. Oh my God, the Russia went through so much.
But winning the war came at a cost.
You wonder why they're just different. That's unbearable, y'all. They sacrificed everything.
Wow.
No. That's one of the most insane statistics I think I've ever seen in my life. Oh my God, I might get flashbacks of the Gulag. Oh man.
8.7 million is the official tally by the Russian military, a hotly disputed number. Some studies have calculated as many as 14 million dead. To complete the count of European military deaths, we need to add German deaths from other fronts, including the North and Africa, as well as deaths from other Axis powers allied with the Nazis: Hungary, Romania, and Italy. When you put these European military deaths on the timeline, it looks like this. You can now interact with the chart to learn more. Pause the narration if you would like more time.
Wow, that's so cool. Oh my God, there's an interact. Oh, my stomach.
And now we switch to civilian deaths in Europe.
It's not even civilians. Oh my God. Oh my God.
6 million Jewish people were killed in the Holocaust. If you separate this by country, you see that about half, 2.7 million, were Polish. 700,000 were Soviets, followed by Hungary and 17 other countries.
Poor Poland.
Broken down another way, about half of the 6 million were killed in the concentration camps. Over 1 million died in Auschwitz. Most were killed in the gas chambers. Others died from starvation, exhaustion, disease, and other forms of execution. The second most deadly camp was Treblinka, which was exclusively an extermination camp, set up to look like a train station.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
Mobile killing groups killed 1.4 million Jews.
What? Oh my God. Terrifying.
Like with the gas chambers, men were killed first to reduce the risk of revolt.
Great. Now you know why there's a 2-to-1 ratio of female to male in your family bloodline.
Yeah.
So if you're wondering why, or if there's ever been an imbalance for gender, yes, and it's always been both ways.
Yeah.
That's the biggest way for the men, is that's how we get the negativity of being a male,
Is going to
is
war.
the responsibility that comes with that because of
Mhm.
what you need to be. Because a lot of people are forced to be courageous, even though just we're men,
Yeah.
right? So, not like you want females in that position, but it's to see the amount of people there, because what they're even saying too is the first people they're killing are the men. So the people that mainly probably survived in those that came out were mainly females then.
Yeah, women and children.
So you have to think these numbers are mainly men just getting eviscerated.
Yeah.
Over what? It's just it's
The
so
bloodline spat.
yeah, it really infuriates you if you have empathy. Gosh. Hey.
The Holocaust also includes non-Jewish deaths.
Yeah.
Between 130,000 to 500,000 Roma, then called Gypsies, were killed. The numbers are disputed. About 250,000 people with disabilities were killed. Homosexuals, Catholics, and other groups were also exterminated, but their numbers were relatively small. Some historians say that other civilian deaths should go under the label of Holocaust. About 2 million non-Jewish Poles were killed under German occupation, some of which were sent to the gas chambers at Auschwitz. When you combine civilian and military deaths, over 16% of the total Polish population died in World War II, which is the highest percentage of any country. But not the highest in total death count.
No.
The Soviet Union again tops that list, losing at least as many civilians as it did soldiers,
Jeez.
somewhere between 10 and 20 million.
See what I mean?
A particularly dark moment for the Soviet Union was the siege of Leningrad, now St. Petersburg. German forces surrounded Leningrad before civilians could be evacuated. Supplies, including food, were cut off for 2.5 years.
2.5 years.
1.5 million people died as a result, mostly from starvation, mostly civilians. Stalin's cruelty towards his own people is partly responsible for these numbers. He often didn't allow civilians to evacuate from cities, thinking it would cause the soldiers protecting them to fight harder. About 1 million Soviets died in Stalin's own labor camps, called the Gulag. Just about every country suffered civilian losses, especially countries who were invaded. While many died as a result of so-called collateral damage, the biggest numbers occurred when it was no accident. Civilians were exterminated, purposely fired upon or bombed, used as human shields, or intentionally deprived of food. The intentional killing of civilians was done by most warring parties, including the United Kingdom and the United States. The United Kingdom was spared of a land.
I think what you just saw there, I think everyone should be a little ashamed, because what they're saying right there, as Germany's numbers just rose to ungodly numbers there, where no one else's that you could see was really going there, that's just straight revenge on the civilians, though.
Yeah.
So, like, I understand, like, if you're playing the game, you're playing the game, and like, that's why I think everyone, like, we always want to pinpoint specific people that did the war wrong. But then if, say, Germany is who we want to then scapegoat as, say, the biggest contributor to being the bad guy, at least from our angle, how it comes from, look how many civilians just got massacred for no, who shouldn't have been collateral damage.
Absolutely.
That looks like specific damage, not collateral.
It does look very specific.
You know what I mean? Especially when this, and it's showing that on purpose. So that's why this is so riveting, because you really just feel what people were going through as well, because you can see who the Germans were attacking there too. And if you don't understand why Poland was such a country to then attack and invade, like, these are things that you should start looking into, because if that doesn't make sense to you, it would be confusing. But then if you understand where they're coming from, you might understand how this might happen again based on pressure.
Yeah.
Because it's mainly pressure just causing things to move forward, right?
Absolutely. And it's like, if I remember correctly, at least from what we were taught about with World War II, there was a lot of economic pressure from World War One because Germany
Oh, of
was
course.
really had a lot of reparations that they had to like repay after World War One and different things that had happened
Treaty of
there.
Versailles.
The Treaty of Versailles.
Yeah.
So then they were in a really dire space with like really high cost of living, really high cost for food. You know, there was a lot of things that were going on, low job rates, etc., so forth. A lot of economic strife, very similar to what we're going through right now. And so
Revolution.
they wanted a revolution, and the guy they brought to power wasn't necessarily the guy they wanted in power. You know what I mean? Like,
No, it's exactly who they wanted in power, and that's why the civilians were getting hit back, right?
absolutely.
And that's why they were doing so well until some of these main battles changed their thing. When, like, as we saw, they were showing these battles that made Germany not beat Russia, because think how many people already lost. I mean, were dead in Russia, and if they and they won.
Absolutely. We recently had a conversation about me, you, and my brother had a conversation about if it wasn't for Russia and what they did during World War II, we'd all be speaking German now.
100%.
Yeah.
And we're just gotta make sure we get this dang mic working. Old trusty Mike's been with you for how long now?
Oh God, I think this microphone is almost a 10-year-old microphone. I think it might be time to upgrade her a bit.
Could be a new thing that we get.
Could be a new thing we get.
But anyways, this is very riveting for me and devastating.
Parties, including the United Kingdom and the United States. The United Kingdom was spared of a land invasion, but still lost 60,000 civilians, largely from German air raids or blitzes, often directed at civilian population centers. The UK did the same to German cities at a much greater magnitude, causing about 10 times the number of deaths.
Wow.
But most German civilian deaths came from the ground at the late stage of the war. When the Nazi regime collapsed, civilians living in occupied regions had to desperately flee from the advancing Soviet army. Rapes were widespread, and death estimates ranged from 600,000 to 3 million.
Wow.
They wanted to obliterate everything.
Let's step back and see where we are with the totals. We just counted about 20 million civilian deaths in Europe. If you add this to the European military deaths we already covered, it brings us to over 40 million.
Holy cow.
Then we have the Asian theater. Here we see the vast majority of military deaths in Asia came from China and Japan. On the civilian side, about 6 million deaths from China, Indonesia, Korea, Indochina, and the Philippines can be attributed to Japanese war crimes, which are sometimes compared to the Nazi atrocities due to the sheer scale of the cruelty. China had the second highest death count after the Soviet Union. And like the Soviets, the Chinese government demonstrated a stunning willingness to sacrifice its own people. Chinese nationalists opened the dike at the Yellow River, hoping the flood would halt the Japanese advance. 500,000 Chinese civilians or more were killed.
Can you imagine that?
Which is 2 or 3 times the number who died in all countries in the 2004 Asian tsunamis. But the invasion of China only cost Japan 200,000 soldiers. Most were killed fighting the US and allies in the Pacific War. A significant portion of Japanese civilian deaths were caused by American firebombing and the 2 nuclear attacks. Contrary to official US statements, these airstrikes were directed at civilian populations, not military targets. When you add all the deaths outside Europe, it brings us to a grand total of 70 million for the war, give or take depending on who's counting and what civilian deaths get included. More people died in World War II than in any other war in history. For comparison, here are 20 or so of the very worst wars and atrocities we have on record. Some of these are more of atrocities than wars, but we've seen how that distinction can get blurry. Some of these spanned across centuries. World War II had the highest body count, and it all happened in just 6 years.
Jeez, that's insane.
The world's population has grown significantly since the earliest atrocities on this list.
The Mongols at 40?
If you want to compare them in terms of what percentage of the world died,
I was gonna say.
we can adjust the chart to look like this. This rough approximation tells us there may have been more devastating wars before World War II,
Yes.
proportionally speaking.
For the capacity of the world. I need to go back for a second on this one. I just need to see
Been more
what that tall one is.
The chart.
The Aleutian Revolt. I don't even know that one.
If you want to compare them in terms of what percentage of the world died, we can adjust the chart to look like this.
Right?
This rough approximation tells us there may have been more devastating wars before World War II, proportionally speaking.
Right. That makes sense.
When we turn to post-war conflicts, it's hard to say anything that isn't controversial. But the data shows something quite extraordinary has been happening. In 1989, John Gaddis coined the phrase the long peace to identify the absence of conflict between the nuclear powers during the Cold War. 25 years later, the Cold War is over, and the term is still being used, although its meaning may have shifted. European countries have not fought each other, except for this 10-day war in 1956 when the Soviet Union invaded Hungary. When we look at European wars before World War II, it looks like this. They tend to be more frequent as you go back, though smaller in scale. And the largest 44 economies of the world have not battled each other since World War II. Rich countries have fought poorer countries, like the US versus Iraq. But rich countries have not fought other rich countries. Such a period of peace between the so-called great powers hasn't been seen since the Roman Empire.
Interesting.
Wow.
To many, peace is too strong of a word.
Yes.
Wars have occurred since World War II, and they can be grouped into these 4 categories. We don't see colonial wars anymore. We've already noted that interstate wars between rich countries have not occurred at all. And here we see wars involving smaller economies have tapered off. That leaves civil wars of 2 types, with and without foreign intervention. And this is what these battle deaths look like alongside of World War II. More people died fighting in World War II than in all the wars since.
Yep.
And again, we can't forget about world population, which has almost tripled since World War II. If we scale these numbers to show deaths in proportion to world population, showing the likelihood that a person on Earth dies in battle, the downward trend becomes even more pronounced. Now, this isn't to infer anything about why this trend is occurring. That's a discussion for another day. You can now interact with this chart to explore what conflicts are behind the totals. Now bear in mind, we're just looking at battle deaths here, not civilian deaths, but those too are in decline. Peace is a difficult thing to measure. It's a bit like counting the people who didn't die in wars that never happened. We give such importance to the word peace, but we don't tend to notice it when it occurs or report on it. Sometimes it takes reminding ourselves of how terrible war once was to see the peace that has been growing around us. Of course, this trend may not continue, and it's not clear how looking at these charts can help us make the right decisions to ensure that it does. But the longer the long peace grows, the more significant it becomes. So if watching the news doesn't make us feel hopeful about where things are heading, watching the numbers might.
Numbers don't lie, y'all. They don't tell the whole story, but they don't lie.
Yeah.
Extremely well done. Thank you so much, Roger, for this one.
This was very well done.
You really feel what countries have went through.
If you would like to support this project and encourage new episodes, please follow us using one of the options below. And consider paying the suggested ticket price for today's show. Thank you very much.
I know there's a really funny professor who always talks about World War II, and he's like, I know I'm have mental issues and a big addiction to World War II, but what other conflict is bigger? And if you like humans, what bigger story is there than what really transpired there and what had to be done after to then hopefully set the stage to make it not happen again? and to
Yeah.
see that it actually looks like it worked, at least for right now,
Mm-hmm.
especially to know there was a World War One and then a two, and to see the trajectory of what a three would have been if something happened.
Oh
So,
my
so the
God.
pushback of what had to happen there, is crazy, and to know that even Germany is doing okay now. To know after
Yeah.
the both world wars, after what happened to their economy and all that too, how much they bounced back, and how everyone is very humbled now as like our generations and all that, like it, because it
Absolutely.
always made me wonder. It's just like, it's not that long ago, it's 80 years ago when this stuff's happening. It's like, and then I'm thinking like my grandpa, I'm like, who would have been like 10, 12 when this stuff's happening, and I'm
Yeah.
just like, you're no different than me.
Yeah.
Like you're the same person as me. Like, how are you guys doing this? Like what your
Absolutely.
father, your grandpa was like in this stuff. Like it's, for me, that's the most insane part, because we are so outside of what's actually happening in the
Mm-hmm.
world in regards to any sorts of war, even civil, and
Mm-hmm.
which is something that you can see has been consistent throughout everything. We're not even experiencing that. Like
No,
that's
we're
how
not.
peaceful, quote unquote, at least it is for us. So I feel really blessed, and sometimes I feel sad for everyone else that are going through this stuff. Especially now, you can see some of these countries going harder into the war frame and all that, and it makes it a bit terrifying. Where this was 2016, I think it was mentioning that it
Yeah.
was done, which is a decade ago. So a lot's actually happened in this decade.
Absolutely.
Lots actually happened in this decade. So
Yeah.
a lot of things can go a different way now. So it's also incredible to know what really can go on, and how quick a domino effect can happen, and to
Absolutely.
see who else has to come in, and how many people can go missing. I mean, can pass away even when it's not even on your own soil. So I
Yeah.
the one thing I wished, just as a Canadian, would have been just to see any numbers for us on there too. But I mean, not every country was represented, and they're showing more of the biggest names in there too. And it's devastating to see also not shut out, but like respect to what happened to all the Chinese, even like
Mm-hmm.
mass amounts.
Mass amounts. I didn't realize that they had opened the dike during World War II, and
Yes.
how like that's huge that they did that, because I believe even right now you and I have talked about how there's like conflict going on between China and I believe it's India right
Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
revolve around the dike and different things like that,
Yep.
and how crazy that would be if that opened again, with how many civilians are in that area and
Oh,
how much
geez.
land
It
is
would
there.
it would change
It's devastating,
everything. Yeah.
right? And like we know, like even since this video came out in 2016, we now have the war between Russia and Ukraine. We
In
have,
the Middle East
and the
is a
Middle
lot
East,
harder
there's a
now.
lot are harder now.
Yeah.
Um, Canada and America aren't as on as friendly terms as they once were.
There's friction in a lot of
There's
places
friction
where
in a lot of places where there
just
wasn't.
even manifesting in earthquakes around places too. Like the friction in the earth is just, you can feel it.
You can feel it. There's a lot of friction right now. And
Yeah.
so it's really good to have videos like this where we can go back and we can see like the mass scale of what has happened to the countries and
Yeah.
what takes place around war, so that we can remember like there's a reason why we have this new peace that we've created,
Yeah.
and not to break it, and make sure that we maintain it.
And it's crazy to think it took mutually assured destruction
To create
to
the new
create the
peace.
peace, because that's essentially when you know you're never gonna stop. You need to get something that almost is like you're never gonna jump in, knowing it could be the end.
Absolutely.
So I hope we never go there, and I hope everyone is smart. I never
Hmm.
understand the politics for how you get there, but again, I've never been really in charge of something that big. So the thing that God always says is pray for those who are in power, because
Yeah.
there's a lot of responsibility on their hands, and they got a lot of things to think about in the near future for the peace and safety of everyone. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this reaction. That was incredible to see this award-winning documentary on all the unfortunate souls that we lost during World War II. I'm sure it's affected almost every single person that you know
Yeah.
around the world. So it's actually incredible to think how many millions who did go away. So
Yeah.
thank you so much, Roger, for this awesome request. I hope you enjoyed all the reactions that you had given to us for this month. And if you guys do want to get your own reaction request, you can request anything you would like, and you can do that through our Patreon free trials, where we have 4 tiers. 2 of them are for monthly requests. And if you did have a good time with us, though, please hit the like button, comment down below what some of your thoughts and feelings were throughout this video, and subscribe if you are not a Chronican yet, to hopefully see more videos like this coming down the rabbit hole. But we are now exiting the rabbit hole.
Thank you so much, Roger, for your request. This was a fantastic video. I love just how well it laid everything out. It was very easy to follow, very impactful. I love the graph. So you had like a visual representation of just how many souls truly were lost.
Gosh.
Like we had learned about Russia and like what they went through in the war, but it was never presented in just such a straight factual way that it was here. And like to really see the numbers is just absolutely mind-boggling. So thank you for bringing this down the rabbit hole, for bringing us to a place where we could really see what took place in our history to allow us to have what we have today.
Of course.
Right? So like this has been amazing. Thank you again, Roger, and I can't wait to see what else you have coming down the rabbit hole in the future. Peace and love, everyone.
God bless you.
Take care, and bye for now. Thank you for making it to the end of the video. It's so good to see you here. And if you would like to continue in supporting us in our future endeavors, you can do so by supporting us over here. And if you really like this band or artist that you listen to in this video, you can support them right here. And we think you might like this video right here. So remember to click it and continue on your trip down the rabbit hole.
Thank you so much, Cronicans.
Thank you so much. Peace and love.